All right, I want to stand into the sun. Hey, my tattoos are so fucking stupid. I figured we'd just start there. Some of my tattoos are dumb. When I started writing this video, it was actually about only one of my tattoos. I would talk about all of them, but really the point of the video was focused on a single one. Then I spent 4 years writing this video. That's 4 years of looking at this ink under my skin and thinking about my interests and my feelings about them. That's 4 years of personal growth, of temporal distance between me now and the me's who all decided to get these tattoos. That's 4 years of the earth spinning, of history unfolding, of stuff happening. And now this is where I'm at. My tattoos suck. And that itself sucks, right? Like, that's not a fun and exciting framing for a YouTube video. Hey guys, I realized my tattoos suck. Like and subscribe. But hey, as your favorite YouTuber, I had to find a way to make it work. The initial pitch behind this video was ranking my tattoos, taking the time to explain them as I go, working from best to worst for plot reasons, and that structure has largely been retained. But now you know going in that the ranking really isn't the point. The point is that in the process of making this video, my own feelings about some of my tattoos soured a lot. And I found a way to be at peace with that and make the video anyway. We feel, we express, we grow, and we move. And that's the point. Number 1. Which one of these was tattoo number 1 again? Oh yeah, it's this one. It's this one. It's this one. You can't see it though. This gag worked a lot better when I was gonna film this in the summer. The Times New Roman font capital A on my left shoulder is my favorite tattoo, and I forget it exists all the time. The forgetting definitely has more to do with its location than the tat itself. It's easily covered up by sleeves, and even when it's not, it's relatively out of the way. All the other ones I can just look down, and there they are. Now, there's a really easy first question to be asked here. What does it stand for? And that's one of my favorite things about this tat, because I don't care to have it stand for anything. And before I get hit with the fake deep allegations, we'll address the obvious. It's just the first letter of your given name, literally your first initial, like the most basic, uninteresting association you can make between a person and a letter of the alphabet. Yes, and I will still tell you and anyone who asks that there is no one word that this letter is supposed to stand for. Sure, my name is Antoine, which does definitely start with an A, but also I was born in April, I'm an astronomer, my favorite number is 4, which kind of looks like a capital A. It could mean any of that, or anything else. It might as well mean nothing at all, or everything. This is the first letter of the English alphabet. Maybe this single letter was meant as a proxy for written language itself. This practice of recording in our physical world some thought or idea that can be observed and ingested by any other literate person who happens upon it. Maybe I was trying to invoke this idea of preserving pieces of the human consciousness, where an alphabet is really just a tool we use to store something about our internal realities externally. And this tattoo was meant to express my bewilderment to and reverence for this phenomenon. It could be anything. Apocalypse! We out here. It's the best tattoo. Number 2. Look! It's our little solar system on my right forearm. The solar system is a planetary system of 8 planets, hundreds of moons, millions of asteroids, and billions of comets, all orbiting a 4.5 billion year old G2 star that we call Sun. He's right there. He's my boyfriend. I represent her here with 9 symbols, with the sun on top and noticeably larger than everyone else because she earned it with all her mass, and then the planets appear in size order: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth, Venus, Mars, Mercury. Pluto's not a planet. We live on a planet orbiting one of 1 septillion stars, and these are our neighbors. This is our neighborhood, and our neighbors are full of character. Venus is an alt-Earth engulfed in a runaway greenhouse effect. Mars is small, and explaining why is an active area of research. Mercury is so close to the sun that it's tidally locked to it with a 3-2 spin orbit resonance. And because of this, one solar day on Mercury is 2 Mercurian years. Go any farther out and the planets become giant balls of gas, literally premature suns. Look at these goons. All born from the same giant molecular cloud, each of these planets has been uniquely shaped and formed by its own particular 4.5 billion year history. Histories including catastrophic asteroid impacts, orbital resonance chains, and large-scale migrations. And it's all encoded in this. Not literally this, what this represents, the solar system. Imagine you wake up one day and find these 8 orbs passively circling a gigantic nuclear fusion reactor, a ball of fire that dwarfs them all. What kind of story would you dream up about this arrangement? This isn't even a hypothetical premise. This has happened to you, to all of us. We live our little lives toiling away on this planet Earth, and all the while these worlds are just out there. Everyone, every one of us, every single human being who's ever lived has lived among these 8 planets in this star. And I just think that's metal as fuck. Number 3. These are Maxwell's equations. Assembled by 19th century Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell, these equations describe the nature of electric and magnetic fields. So I imagine some of you see this tat, you see the curly D's and the triangles and the fractions, you know that I have to explain it and your eyes are already glazing over. You hate math. You were okay on math up until the 7th grade, but then they started adding letters. What do you mean X and Y, you said? I thought this was about numbers. Maybe you got to geotrig and they started making you do proofs. What do you mean prove this is a triangle, you pleaded with God? It's a triangle! It's right there! My feeling is that if you don't actively love math, you probably passively hate math. Actively loves math. But this tattoo and its meaning are like 40% math. So if I try to avoid it to accommodate any anti-math sensibilities among the audience, I would not be doing my job. This is not a job. This pays me 0. I said all of that to say there's some math incoming. You might not understand all of it, but I'm a good instructor, so you'll get the highlights. Let's get started. This might be easier with a whiteboard. Hell yeah. Like I said earlier, these equations describe electric and magnetic fields. Here, those fields are indicated with a capital E and capital B. The electric and magnetic fields are what we call vector fields. Vectors have 2 components, a magnitude and a direction. If you put an electric charge in an electric field, it will accelerate in the same direction as the E field vector, and its change in speed will be proportional to the magnitude of the E field vector. A vector field is a field of vectors. Again, the electric and magnetic fields are vector fields. In some 1, 2, 3, 4 n-dimensional space, each point in that space is associated with a vector, and each of those vectors will have themselves a magnitude and a direction. Epsilon and mu are Greek letters. If you take science classes for 20 years straight, they run out of Latin letters and have to start using Greek. These are constants of nature. They have units and associated values, but that's not so important right now. For now, they're just numbers. Rho, another Greek letter, is charge density. That's the amount of electric charge you have in some given volume of space. J, back to Latin, is electric current density. That's how much electric current you have within some given volume of space. An electric current is an electric charge that is moving. I haven't lost you yet, right? We're like just getting to the math. These curly D expressions are time derivatives. They describe how a particular function changes over time. So then, this expression is the time derivative of the B field, and this expression is the time derivative of the E field. Finally, we have these triangles called del's with these multiplication symbols, dots, and crosses. Del's denote spatial derivatives, or how a particular function changes as you cross the 3 spatial dimensions x, y, z. Del dot and del cross are different ways of examining how a vector function changes in space. Without some calculus foundation, explaining and understanding the intricacies here is a little very difficult, and since I'm not teaching a calc course because I don't think you would sit through it, I'm just going to give you the gist. Very simply, del dot is called the divergence, and it measures at any given point the outward flow of the vector field. Del cross is called the curl, and it measures at any given point the degree to which the vector field circulates or curls around that point. So this vector field has a large divergence at this point, but zero curl. This one is all curl and no divergence. Okay, I've explained the components. Now let's look at what these equations are actually telling us. So this first one tells us that an electric charge creates a non-zero divergence in the electric field, while this last one tells us that electric current creates some curl in the magnetic field. Great, we got the boring parts out of the way. This fourth equation is also telling us that an electric field that changes over time will create some reaction in the magnetic field. The third equation has something similar, where a magnetic field that changes over time induces some change in the electric field. These two physical concepts, the electric field and the magnetic field, are interrelated. And we aren't even done. If you have the right formulae in front of you, you can reduce Maxwell's equations to these. This one and this one. And before you freak out, I promise I can make it make sense. This is that the second spatial derivative of a function is equal to the second time derivative of that function times some constant. The second derivative is exactly what it sounds like. You took the time derivative of the first time derivative, or the spatial derivative of the first spatial derivative. So this probably means nothing to a lot of you, and if not for exactly this, it would mean nothing to me too. But these are wave equations. If a function satisfies this equation, it's a wave. Now we can say that the E field and B field can be described as waves. And yes, there's more. And this is where our Greek constants come back for a big final act. Encoded in the wave equation is the speed of the wave. It's actually here in this coefficient that equates our two second derivatives, where this coefficient is 1 over the speed of our wave squared. And it just so happens that these two natural constants are related to another natural constant, such that we can rewrite our wave equations like so, where c is the speed of light. And now we all together today have mathematically justified the idea that light, the reason we can see, is a consequence of electric and magnetic fields which propagate through space, interrelated as waves. Like, that's cool as shit, right? I know you hate math, but you gotta give me this one. Maxwell and his goons, Gauss, Faraday, Ampere, countless others probably, they did the damn thing here. They understood the assignment. They ate. They popped off. They locked. All that being said, my being a big nerd aside, this is the point in the list where the tattoos start getting stupid. I have 2 points of stupidity here. For one, if you asked me about a or solar system on the street, I'd be psyched to fill you in. This one, not so much. Like, were you paying attention just now? Did you see the hoops I had to jump through to explain this shit? Like, I literally needed a whiteboard. I literally had to dust off my undergrad E&M textbook PDF just to write this part of the video. And if you aren't interested in how all the math comes together, it really just boils down to, yeah, it's some science stuff. Second, and we're going to see this issue pop up later in this list, I'm just not quite as excited about these equations and their applications as I was in 2018. As a physics student, you typically learn about Maxwell's equations one by one. In fact, most of them were first described by and are named after other people. The first one is Gauss's law, the third is Faraday's, and the last one is Ampere's with a correction by Maxwell. So I spent a whole semester studying and using and being assessed on these equations, only for my A&M professor to say, okay, watch this, and then so easily transform these equations I knew so well into wave equations whose speeds are incidentally light speed. I like to quote my A&M textbook. The implication is astounding. Perhaps light is an electromagnetic wave. Of course, this conclusion does not surprise anyone today, but imagine what a revelation it was in Maxwell's time. Remember how epsilon naught and mu naught came into existence in the first place.
They were constants in Coulomb's law and the Biot-Savart law, respectively. You measure them in experiments involving charged pith balls, batteries, and wires, experiments having nothing whatever to do with light. And yet, according to Maxwell's theory, you can calculate C from these two numbers. Notice the crucial role played by Maxwell's contribution to Ampere's law. Without it, the wave equation would not emerge, and there would be no electromagnetic theory of light. That was me. I was astonished. I was gagged, honestly and truly. And after going through my old class notes to write this video, seeing the things I was once learning and contemplating, I'm still a little gagged. I remember feeling like the universe was actually small and knowable. That you could do enough experiments and study enough math, and the secrets of reality were available to you. They, in fact, were never secret at all, just hard to read. But I don't think I captured that feeling with this tat. And Maxwell's equations aren't so important to me anymore. They really don't need to be here.
Feeling the sun on my face. You may have noticed I've been wearing this dope-ass scarf throughout the whole video. This is a Palestinian keffiyeh. The keffiyeh is a scarf or headdress traditionally worn by farmers, and now it is a symbol of sovereignty for the Palestinian people and their resistance against first British and now Israeli occupation. I'm wearing it to signal my solidarity with the Palestinians as they resist ethnic cleansing and genocide by the Israeli government, which is supported heavily and dutifully by the United States, the richest country in the world with the biggest and most powerful military, which I just happen to live in and work in and pay taxes to. I personally believe that this isn't enough, that by living and working and paying taxes here, I am complicit in these charges of ethnic cleansing and genocide, and wearing a beautiful scarf in a YouTube video is not enough to absolve me of these charges. This whole little blurb, a very recent but very important addition to the script, is still not enough. I, and probably you too, need to find more effective and more material ways to end the Israeli occupation of Palestine and to ensure self-determination for the Palestinian people. If you're a person living in the United States, a good first step would be forcing our government to stop sending military aid to Israel and to stop providing it with diplomatic cover on the world stage. And if you hear that and you're like, okay, cool, I'll petition my representatives and I'll share some infographics on Instagram, and I'll be sure to vote for people who tell me that they share these same values, and within 4 to 8 years we'll be back on track. Then, okay, girl, Godspeed. But if you hear that and you're like, but Antoine, the government does not listen to me. I want single-payer healthcare and free college and gun control. I want a higher minimum wage and federal-level abortion rights. And the government knows this. My representatives, my senators, and the president know this. They just seem to pretend like they don't hear me. Then, girl, same. And I think that is indicative of a larger problem. That problem is, I believe, they aren't afraid of us enough. When your congressional representatives and your president balk at enacting very popular policies that they know you support, it's because they aren't afraid of you. They aren't worried that you and your homies will threaten their positions of power. They're okay kicking sand in your face because they're serving other more moneyed groups who will reward them for kicking sand in your face. You and your homies need to organize. You need to shut shit down. You need to stop working. You need to create serious economic headaches for the people in charge. We actually have incredible, immeasurable leverage. We all just need to come together and agree to use it. We need to free Palestine. Back to the list. Number 4. Tattoo number 4 is chronologically tattoo number 1. The skeletal structure of serotonin just above my left ankle. I will demonstrate. This is not going to be awkward at all. Here's my body, right? And here's the tattoo. There it is. This isn't weird, right? Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. And according to my Instagram post, it's the molecule linked to well-being and happiness. According to Wikipedia, Its biological function is complex and multifaceted, modulating mood, cognition, reward, learning, memory, and numerous physiological processes such as vomiting and vasoconstriction. So maybe my reduction of its role to happiness and well-being was a bit idealistic. And that's all the explanation I have for this one. There's no deeper meaning or personal connection. I don't even really like chemistry all like that. Like, I have respect for all of the natural sciences, but I've got no special love for chemistry, you know? I got a B in chemistry in the 10th grade, and I never looked back. I fuck with physics. I got an A in physics. I got the idea from a character in Tomb Raider 2013, where he has a tattoo of caffeine on his neck, and I remember thinking that that was really cool when I was 14. Naturally. No longer 14. Older than 14 years old. I originally wanted more fun, debaucherous chemicals, but I wussed out. I was also considering oxytocin and dopamine, but oxytocin is a monster, and dopamine was just sort of underwhelming, so I landed on serotonin. And now, 8 years later, I'm mostly bleh on it. It's really silly, I could do without it. Obviously, there are tattoos on this list I've ranked under this one, but those tattoos have some upside, something about them that I can still appreciate, even if those upsides are outweighed by their downsides. This one is all downside. Like I've already explained, I just don't care. I don't care about chemistry or biology, and serotonin is just one of dozens of neurotransmitters in my brain. So there's no good reason as to why I've singled out serotonin to be tattooed on my leg. Also, it looks kind of rough, and this isn't just because it's faded and blurred over time. The problems with this one were here from the beginning. And yeah, that's primarily because I drew this by hand with a Sharpie. So the lettering isn't as uniform as it could be, and the angles aren't quite regular. For all its faults, I do think it has some charm. I think it was a little bit cool that I was 18, doodling on myself and bold enough to walk into a tattoo parlor and make a lifelong commitment to my doodles. That was probably also my frontal lobe not being fully developed, but hey, that's life. Again, we move. Number 5. Tattoo number 5. Watch the breakdown printed on my left forearm. Whew. I'm not gonna lie, this one's a little embarrassing. So you know that song, Nice for What?
Real one in your reflection, without a follow, without a mention, you really...
You definitely know this song. Released by Drake in 2018, it was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 8 weeks. It's a good song. It samples Lauryn Hill's X Factor, which is, like, itself already the best song ever. And then I always forget the second half of this line. And I actually really like the titular line. You gotta be nice for what to these niggas? I understand. And none of that is even the best part. The best part comes 2 minutes and 17 seconds into the song during the bridge. It's this line delivered by Letitia Wright.
Watch the breakdown.
The breakdown, as far as the song goes, refers to the song itself. Wikipedia tells me a breakdown is a part in a song where instruments have solos or breaks. We don't quite get an instrument breakdown, but we get some chopped up vocals played to the bounce beat over the Lauryn Hill sample before one final chorus. So let's hear that line again, this time with the rest of the bridge.
Jesus! Your boy!
I'm gonna let these geese pass. They're kind of going in like a little circle here, but I think they'll figure it out. I believe in them.
Watch the breakdown.
Between Big Frida's call and response and the percussion behind her, there's a sense of escalation. The bridge itself is a kind of crescendo, and I think it serves as a climax to the whole song. And importantly, Watch the Breakdown sits right at the peak. So I've shown that the song is a banger and that I really like this one part in particular, but there's a little bit more here. I'm just plainly taken by this brag. Like, I'm already listening to the song. I'm gonna see the breakdown. You don't have to point it out. And still, it's as if the author thought that the breakdown was so good, It's so worthy of your time that it's worth interjecting mid-song to make sure that the listener is listening. And really, it's this confidence, this conviction that this next thing I'm about to do is going to be the sickest shit you've ever seen that made me want this tatted. And that's all the love that I have for this tattoo. I'm going to start tearing it down now. First, it kind of looks like shit, mate. My mistake here was that it's too small. It looked really nice fresh out of the chair, but the ink's bled as it's healed, and this is what I'm left with. Second, it's just not that cool. For all the tattoos ranked higher on this list, I find them visually striking, you know? Or at least for number one, the simplicity itself is captivating. This one is just words. Sure, when I look at it, I hear a song I like a lot, but that's probably not happening for everybody else. They're just seeing some words. And even if they can read it, their next thought is, well, okay, what's the breakdown? Finally, I just don't care about Nice for What as much as I did in 2019. It's still a bop, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't animate me as much as it did all those years ago. So this one has aged pretty bad, and it's still not the worst. Number 6. My least favorite tattoo and the original reason I started writing this video. Inner left forearm, just below the elbow. For those of you who don't know, is the ad-lib of course, Chance the Rapper. Yeah, every third video on this channel is about Chance the Rapper. I don't think I need to demonstrate my appreciation for Chance the Rapper's music. I've already gotten up on this website and showed my whole ass in that regard. But in case you wanted more proof, here are some pictures I found going through my photo library while doing research for this video. He's a stan, Your Honor. And even apart from the music, I just like the ad-lib a lot. That one was a little too sharp. I'm done. It's just fun to say. There's an inherent energy to it. There's no way to say it without getting loud. It's so simple and yet so incredibly distinctive. And still, this is my worst tattoo. It was the 13th day of July 2020, and Chance spent the day tweeting the dumbest shit. And no, it's not lost on me that this is the second time I am addressing problematic tweets of Chance the Rapper on my YouTube channel. We should all just stop tweeting. I should get off of Twitter. Anyway, Ye was running for president of the United States. It's so weird to just say that. I feel like I need to expand on it, but I'm just not going to. It's not important for this video, and also I don't want to write it. I've been writing this video for so long. So Ye was running for president, and Chance, a close associate of Mance, tweeted about it. Tweet. And y'all out here trying to convince me to vote for Biden. Shaking my fucking head. Twitter liberals ate his ass up, inundating him with tweets, but of course tweeting is never the solution. So Chance digs in. Tweet. Are you more pro-Biden or anti-Ye, and why? I get that you'll want to reply that you're just trying to get Trump out. But in this hypothetical scenario where you're replacing Trump, can someone explain why Joe Biden would be better? Again, the denizens of Twitter tweeted explaining why Ye shouldn't be president and Joe Biden should be. Then Chance said, tweet, I finally got the answer now. I understand. Y'all trust Biden more than y'all trust Ye. I think I understand why. I just don't feel the same way. I'm having way too much fun reading his tweets. And this is where the debate mostly ends. At around 3 p.m. that day, 6 hours after he started all of this mess, Chance realized he had made a series of mistakes. Tweet. When you get to the top of a hill and realize you have to die on it. And from there, he backs down, sharing some things he hopes our next emperor will do, regardless of whom that person is. And before we wrap on this timeline, I want to share my favorite tweet from this whole ordeal. With regard to people preferring Joe Biden over Ye, I'm gonna keep it real, a lot of you niggas is racist. So I'm gonna start here with a bit of a disclaimer. At this point in time, July 2020, I did not care about Joe Biden. If someone came along to malign Joe Biden, I wouldn't even bat an eye. I don't care that Chance the Rapper would rather see his friend elected president over Joe Biden. It's a silly prospect. President Ye inaugurated the 20th of January 2021, but I'm not mad at him over it. But watching all of this play out, I felt so stupid. Stop arguing with people on Twitter. I know you love your friend, but he's not running a coherent campaign for president. Stop tweeting. My brother the rapper, you are swimming upstream when you can just get out of the river. I kinda saw the futility in this whole thing as soon as he started it, and I feel like he obviously didn't. And I was personally disappointed that he didn't have the foresight to not do all of this. Again, I'm not mad that Chance said yay 2020. I'm mad that after that first tweet, which could pass as a joke or a half-serious endorsement, he followed up with the denizens of Twitter inviting a debate that I don't think he was even prepared for. Because by the end of it, where he realized he had to die on top of that hill before trying to get back down, he looks really silly, to use a more charitable word than the one that's in my head. Look, my feelings aren't this man's problem, and I would never try to make that the case. Unfortunately, my feelings are my own problem, and boy did I have feelings about these tweets from 13 July 2020. I felt stupid. And I felt stupid because I realized that this man whose art I've inked on my body can just do or say any old thing at any time. I realized that my opinion about this tattoo may potentially always be in flux because my opinions and feelings about this man aren't set in stone, because the man himself is not set in stone. He can just say anything, and I'm left with this tattoo on my arm whose only meaning connects back to him and his work. I realized Chance the Rapper can tweet Bill Cosby innocent tomorrow. There's nothing I can do about it, and suddenly I'm walking around with a lot more baggage. Again, this isn't his fault. It's my fault, and it sucks. I had never regretted a tattoo, even for a moment, until that day. I remember wanting to dig my nails into my arm and claw the tat off. I was so embarrassed and ashamed. What kind of fucking idiot would tattoo Chance the Rapper on their body? It doesn't even look that bad. This is probably one of my better looking tats. This is another one I drafted in marker. A couple times. I like the way it compresses when I bend my elbow. I just think it looks cool. Maxwell's equations also do this, but the print isn't as long, so it's not as effective. But yeah, those positives don't overcome the very overwhelming negative. I think my Chance the Rapper tattoo is my worst one, and I'm moderately embarrassed by it. There's the climax for the whole video. Worst tattoo. Chance the Rapper. Yay 2020. Thank you so much for watching. Take a second to give this video a like. Thanks again. And while you're at it, why not also subscribe? No, go ahead, do it. I'll wait right here. Nice. And you didn't forget to like this video, right? I'll wait again. Don't worry. All right, thanks. The video still isn't quite over. I have some outros outlined, so I'll see you on the other side of the cut to black. Okay, bye. This is the Isn't tattoo number 5, also based on a rapper outro. And it starts like toward the end of the most recent rewrite of this video, I had started feeling like tat number 5 should probably be ranked lower than tat number 6. They both share the same issue of relating to living famous people. And I think tat number 5 looks considerably worse. But I kept tat number 6 at the end for emotional reasons, let's say. Like I said, tat number 6 is the reason I started writing this video, and it's because of that I was able to realize the problems with tat number 5. Tat number 5 probably turned out worse in the long run, but tat number 6 is the original sin, as it were. And that distinction puts her in first place for being last place. Now this is the why did I make this video outro. Why did I make this video? I have 3 things. I don't know if the 3 points, like 3 answers to that question. I wrote a lot of stuff, right? We're gonna start with number 1. This was supposed to be an easy video with a compelling topic, I already knew most of the information for the content of this video, and still, this was a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Space, multivariable calculus, rap music, the transcendence of language. This is what Antoine in the Apocalypse is all about. Second, I kind of felt like I needed to. When I internalized the feelings that I expressed about the Chance the Rapper tattoo, I kind of felt like I necessarily had to say those things. People see these tattoos and they're saying something about me all the time. Making this video and calling it an addendum to these tats as I originally meant them gives me an opportunity to not just explain myself, my mind state, what I was thinking at those various times, but also to say something else, to expound upon what I originally had meant to say. And when I realized that opportunity was there for me, I had to take it. Video 16. Point 3, the video is what it is. When I started this, I was ready to abandon ship on just one of my tattoos, and now look at the finished project. I don't know if this is good or interesting. I don't know if this makes for a good YouTube video, or if this was just really weird, if it was unhinged behavior, if I maybe just shouldn't have done all of this. I literally don't know. I've been thinking about it for 4 years. I've been thinking about it extremely more heavily in the process of the past month of making this video, and I still do not know. I don't. And like a wiser person might take that, might take the realization that like they don't know if they're sure they should do this and just simply not do it. But I'm gonna do it. As usual, I am proud of my work. But to be honest, I can't watch any of my videos before like video 12, the logic video. Why would I want to watch myself moving and talking and thinking and speaking, at age 21? Like, nobody is supposed to, like, why? Do you think my mom knows what she looked and sounded like, exactly what she looked and sounded like at age 21, or my dad? Or like, it's not normal. Do you remember exactly what you looked and sounded like at age 21? I do, because I was posting videos. And I'm still posting videos, you know? I don't know. I was proud of when I was age 21, posting videos, I was proud of my work then too. I watched every clip. I watched the whole of all the videos before I posted them and uploaded them and released them. I was aware of what the videos were before they went up, and now 4, 5, 6 years later, it's like, oh God, why would I have ever posted that? So I don't know if I'm gonna come back to watch video 16 at age 31 and say, oh my God, why did I post that? I don't know. This is the I don't know outro. And I mean, I think it's a classic. Like, it's my best video yet. Go play Pokemonpy. Open a terminal. Search for terminal on Mac or Linux and PowerShell on Windows. Enter Python 3 space dash dash version. Enter pip space dash dash version. If you don't have Python 3 installed, or you have a Python 3 version that is lower than 3.9, then install Python 3.9. If you don't have pip, install pip. If the terminal spits out some version numbers, Python at least 3.9, then you're good to go. Enter pip space install space PokemonPy. Then copy the script from the README with link in the description and play the game. Everyone play PokemonPy. 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 All right, we out of here. I'm going home.